Today our guest is the head of Caucasian Research Center, Vafa Guluzadeh. He marks his 70 years of age. Today we'll look at his 70 years of lifetime. What can you say about your youth? I mean your education and so on. I was born at 9 p.m. 21 December 1940 in Baku. On the very days of World War II, my mother and grandmother took me to a village in Gazakh region. I spent the war years in Aslanbayli village, so my childhood years are related to this village. Then, when my father returned, we moved to Baku. At that time, the spoken language in the center was Russian. The situation was complicated, yes, and in such a complicated time, Vafa Guluzadeh was a teenager. My life was divided into two periods. I received many information from my grandmother, whose many relatives had been killed. At that time, people were afraid to speak in the public, and I was a child. She talked about everything to me. He explained who Lenin was and that he was a murderer. Therefore, I didn't enter pioneer school. And what about your studentship? I studied in law faculty. That period was marked for a bit liberalization. At that time, I familiarized with Abdülfaz Elçibay. He was my fellow student. He was a nationalist. Then you finished your study. Elçibay went abroad and you left for Moscow. I went to Moscow. The most dissident university in Moscow was University of Middle East. There my paperwork was on Egypt. It was welcomed by Jewish intellectuals. At that time, conflicts in Egypt, Middle East were in active discussion. And then you joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I think it was just by chance. Because my maternal background would not allow me to work in any political agency. At that time, Russian Human Resources Officer Uzlov came to Baku, met with all experts dealing with Eastern affairs. He selected only me and recommended me for Foreign Minister of the Soviet Union. Then I got an invitation saying I could start my job. Then you visited Egypt and became a deputy ambassador. I became a secretary in Egypt. Egypt was a front line of conflict between US and Russia. In Egypt, I attended many confidential talks. You were a translator? No, I was not a translator. There was not such a position in the embassy then. I was a political diplomat, and therefore I was involved in those talks. You also met with Anwar Sadat. I met Anwar Sadat when I was accompanying embassy officials. My reputation was good. I was a Soviet Union loyal. Therefore, I attended secret talks, so I gained great experience in Egypt. So when did your Moscow experience find an end? My Moscow experience ended in 1975. Though I was representing a national minority, I was promoted to a top position. To which position? I became a first secretary of Azerbaijani foreign minister. And what about independence period? It began very hard for me. During January 1999 events, I was working in Algeria. After these events, I wanted to cease all my relations with the Soviet Union and condemn Gorbachev. I wanted a political asylum from Turkey. They refused, saying they was a NATO member and friend of Gorbachev. Then I appealed to my friends in Algeria. The ruling party of Algeria was the only force to condemn Soviet aggression. Even Turkey was supporting Gorbachev then. Then Elçibay's administration invited you to be a state advisor. First, they proposed me to be a foreign minister, but I refused, citing that there will be position disputes in the new administration. Then they offered me becoming a state advisor, and I accepted. In Heydar Aliyev's period, you for the first time made statement about the need for deployment of NATO base in Azerbaijan. No, at that time, Azerbaijan was in a very fragile situation. Ali was in hospital. Therefore, there were rumors that a war will start with Armenia again. Therefore, I made an independent decision and stated that Azerbaijan is ready for deployment of US and NATO bases. But a while after this statement, you were dismissed from your job. No, I submitted a statement of resignation. Ali didn't approve it for a month. What were reasons? Why? It was on the eve of Istanbul summit. The community was thinking that there will be an agreement in the summit regarding the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and that I was against it. In 2002, Aliyev called on me to resume my job, but I said I was old. Though you were not in your position, he was consulting with you, right? Yes, I made advice to him. The decisions are made by president, but I made advice. Vafa Guluzadeh is 70 years old. What can you say about state care for you? I am satisfied with my pension. You know, the legislation sets out high pensions for those who devoted their life to state affairs. As for the medals and others, I left the position myself. Therefore, I never wished an honor or medal. Thank you for coming to our studio. Today, our guest was Vafa Guluzadeh, who is marking his 70 years of age.